After a podcast investigation, a man's in prison. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net.
Tonight, a liar and a murderer. Former teacher Chris Dawson behind bars after being found guilty of murdering his first wife, Lynette.
The subject of The Teacher's Pet, Chris Dawson, has been found guilty in the Australian Supreme Court of murdering his first wife, who vanished more than 4 decades ago. Hedley Thomas, an Australian journalist, investigated the case in a successful 14-episode podcast containing what he claimed was new evidence. It was published in 2018, at the same time as New South Wales Police had started reinvestigating Lynette Dawson's disappearance. Outside court, Hedley Thomas thanked Lynn Dawson's family.
Just like to thank Greg, Marilyn and Pat for backing the podcast, for supporting me. They have been so staunch and they've treated me like a member of their family. I wouldn't have been able to carry on without that kind of backing.
Dawson, now aged 73, will be sentenced later. Podimo, a subscription podcast and audiobook platform, has today launched in Finland. It launches with a number of exclusive shows and will translate others to Finnish. 15% of Finns are already paying for podcasts. Podcast startup Auddy has purchased Audiomi, a podcast advertising company focused on the German language region of Europe, with access to around 450 podcasts, 70 from Austria. No terms were given. Auddy announced the closure of their £2.5 million investment round earlier this month. Podcast host Libsyn also recently purchased a German podcast company. Acast has announced a new schedule for A-Class, its free digital event program aimed at encouraging more voices into podcasting, celebrating success stories and discussing how to overcome challenges. Do you want to see what podcasts look like in Twitter? Our accounts aren't in the test list, but Eileen Smith has got it. She shares a look at how the thing works on her website. Dropbox wrote an article about how Aaron Mankey grew his podcast Law into a production company. We link to how 4 publishers are using podcasts to enhance their brands. A piece published ahead of the Publisher Podcast Summit in London on October the 5th. There's a coupon in our show notes. And wow, politicians are really bad at podcasting, suggests Politico. Here's an interesting fact. 2 politicians regularly number 1 in the UK, with the rest is politics. So maybe they're not that bad after all. In People News, Rekha Murthy is now an advisory board member for LWC Studios. Salal Cohen-Steiner has joined Voxelize as the company's head of growth. And with the purchase of the company by Auddy, Audiomi co-founder Christine van der Brink-Dunay remains with the company in a new role, while co-founders Daniel Arovai and Juan Arovai have left the company. Robert Mitzman-Gruber, who joined the company at the beginning of 2021, will serve as CEO. It's a Tuesday, so time for some tech stuff. Alby has unveiled an API. The product is a simple-to-use Bitcoin wallet used as a browser extension. Alby has also unveiled a partnership with Podverse, the podcast app. It allows listeners to use their Alby wallet to send boosts to podcasts. And fiction app Apollo's user base is nearly equally divided between iOS and Android users. The company posts in a product update from June. And in podcast news, the Know For Sure pod has signed exclusively with Gumball. The show, hosted by B. Simone and Megan Brooks, launched in April 2022, and in just 3 months has already gained over 6 million listens. And Everyday Leadership is to join the Podnews podcasting network. The show, hosted by Shopway Agbelusi, will benefit from the company's expertise in podcast marketing and will outsource more of its growth strategy. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.